Alright, so one of the things that my car was missing as one of its factory options was a reverse camera. So, one of the things I'm going to be doing in today's video is installing the reverse camera, but most importantly, it is a brand new head unit for my car. See, the head unit that comes in this particular model, in this particular option, has GPS, and unfortunately for the GPS model head units, they don't really support many aftermarket options in terms of reverse camera, and I really don't want to pay a few $100s just to have a reverse camera flip out from the Volkswagen badge. So I've opted for one of these cheaper cameras like this and an entirely new head unit. So of course this was more than a couple of $100s, but the thing with this is the new head unit is going to give me Android on the head unit, which gives me access to literally anything, and it gives me so many abilities of things I can do with this head unit now that I could not do with my other one. It will give me Bluetooth audio. I can literally just download Spotify on it. It gives me a whole bunch of ESP settings. I can download literally, and not that I would use this while I'm driving, but I can quite literally put Facebook on my head unit. I can quite literally put YouTube on my head unit. It is going to give me endless possibilities, and in today's video, we're going to be going through the install process of this, which I'm hoping isn't going to be too hard, but there's a lot of cables here, and this is the first head unit that I have installed in a car, so I'm a little bit nervous to say the least. But with that being said, here's all that stuff for our head unit. Here's our reverse camera, and now this is just a simple, and I'll come around to the camera to show you, this is just simply one that replaces the factory number plate lights, and this is going to be a very long unedited video, just a heads up. And unfortunately for me, well, fortunately for how it currently is, I have extremely bright aftermarket number plate lights. And if I hook this up to this power supply I've got here without shorting it, I'm pointing these LEDs right at you. These are on currently 14.4 volts. That is not very bright at all. So what I'm going to have to come up with is a solution to not have to use this mount. Now the camera here, the actual camera itself, has two small screws holding it in. So what I'm going to think of doing, and I've kind of already started, is I've welded up, oh sorry, I haven't welded anything. I've just cut out this little bit of metal here, which is some sheet, very thin, probably 1mm galvanized steel. Galvanized is important because that means it's rust proof or resistant, or it's not going to rust. And what I'm going to do is just build up, do some epoxy and stick it to the back of my number plate and to the back of this camera. Now what that's going to allow me to do is just mount it to my number plate, and that's going to be able to keep both of those number plate lights as well as fastening somewhere that's always going to be in the car without drilling a hole, because for some reason everything I've done to this car hasn't modified or hasn't been an irreversible modification, put it that way. So I'm going to keep with the theme and not have to drill any holes in the bottom of the car by doing this. Now I'm going to have to paint this black because this is obviously just raw galvanized steel at the moment. But what we'll do is we'll paint that black purely for aesthetics, not to make it rust resistant, because it's already going to be rust resistant. And that's how we're going to do that. But here we have the actual head unit itself, which I'm quite keen to open. Now I've fully optioned this with the biggest processor I could get in it. Wow, that is just huge. So this is a 10.1-inch screen, and this is fully optioned with the biggest processor, the most power, the most RAM. This has got literally everything, the most storage and everything I could possibly add to it, and ESP and everything. It's going to be absolutely awesome. And that's what's going to be going in my car in today's video, as well as that reverse camera. All right, so I'm continuing this on my phone here. So let me go through the car install. So there's a plastic trim around here on the factory unit, which you can see on the ground over there. Now that simply unclips from the entire way out and is able to be removed with a trim removal tool. Then once that is there, the head unit's held in with these 4 bolts. Now the reason I have stopped recording and made so much progress, and ignore that, that is just shoved in there at the moment. The reason I have stopped is because my particular setup here had the factory Kufatech Viscon Bluetooth receiver, and that made it really hard to install because I had to remove that to access some of the wires, which meant all of this down here had to come out. Now, if you don't have Kufatech, that's fine. This is pretty simple. It just added another step to it. But aside from that, for the ease of use of this head unit, all you got to do is find the factory harness there, plug that in. So this then gives you the CAN bus control, and that's the factory harness connection. This here connects for the left to right, which is this plug over here, which goes into the back of the head unit. This one here is optional, but I'm opting to run a reverse camera finally, as I mentioned before, so I have that wiring harness installed for that. Then over here is the Kufatech Viscon microphone, which I actually, to be honest, don't know where it wires in this car. But aside from the fact I stole the microphone from the Kufatech system and am plugging it straight in down here to this new head unit. As well as that, here's our factory GPS and our factory radio. Yes, radio and GPS. So I can plug all that straight in. I don't know why I'm shaking. And all of that just plugs straight into the back of this. Or so it says it should. So let's plug it all in and see if it works as it is intended to. If it does, I will be utterly surprised because nothing I've ever done to this car seems to work, and I will be absolutely wrapped if this works as intended. Okay, so I'm yet to get this fitted in. I believe what is fouling is the plug here for the hazards in a CC. Extends out a fair bit at the back there, and I believe that's just hitting the infotainment system, so I might have to chop that out. Needless to say though, let's see if this thing works, because that would be a good start. Alright, so we have power. My dash cam booted up. We're booting Android, and there we have it. So we have our sound. Now I'm not going to lie, I've been on this and I've installed Spotify. And if you're not following me on Spotify at Jack's Best Tunes, well, for my playlist, go do so. But she works. How sick. Steering wheel buttons also work. I got to figure out a way to turn that beep off. The star thing that I never knew what that ever did. Mutes. Press the call button. Takes me straight to calls, although I don't have my phone connected to it. So this is sick. Very happy. The coolest thing is if a song has a video, like this does, it plays the video. That is the sickest thing I've ever seen in a car. This car is epic. This head unit is epic. I really, really rate this. If I can get this in, I'll be so happy. Alright, so I've now had this head unit installed for 2 days, and let's quickly go over the finish, the fit, the ease of use, everything. Let's quickly discuss it. So, fitting the head unit, the wiring, super, super simple. To be honest, it's all plug and play. The biggest hassle for me was the fact that my head unit had the factory Kufatech Viscon, and I had to remove the wiring for that, which involved removing all of the climate control inserts. So once that was out, that was fine. Plug the wiring harness straight in, plug in the additional wiring harness for the reverse camera and the other additional wiring harness so that my auxiliary inside of my center console continued to work. Now it's all perfect. So let's just talk quickly. I'm going to go straight to the negatives. The actual cover, the fit and finish of it is not really ideal. You do have to trim a fair bit to make it fit, especially in the Passat B6. This here is for the hazards in the CC Passat, or the just genuine CC. And this will foul completely on the climate control, which is a bit of an unfortunate thing, but I trimmed that down with a Dremel and now it's all good. The other thing is that it doesn't really fit in all that well. I'm going to give it a couple of weeks to make sure there's nothing else I need to add, and then I'm just going to do a couple of little dobs of hot glue because this head unit pops out relatively easy, and I'm honestly not the biggest fan of the fact that I can just pull it out with one finger, which is quite unfortunate. I think this is designed for left-hand drive models, even though I was assured it works for both. But with that being said, let's quickly turn my key on 2 notches and have a look at how this head unit performs. Now it boots up with Android and then it goes straight to my desktop there. There goes my dash camera all the way up there. And mind my hair if you just saw that. It is awful at the moment. And here we go. So we have Spotify. Of course, Spotify, I just got a text message. I apologize for that. We have our Spotify controls here, so this was the last song I was listening to. Yes, I was blasting Skrillex the other day. I don't know why. Let's go to Jack's Best Tunes. That is not Jack's Best Tunes. Thank you for updating on me last second. If we go to Jack's Best Tunes, I was just going through some of my older stuff there. We shuffle play. Right, we get our music. We get our bass. Now, let me quickly tell you as well, compared to the factory head unit, this thing has so much more low frequencies. So obviously the factory head unit had some sort of DSP that limited low frequencies from the door speakers, as well as that it also would turn down the bass as the volume went up. Now I'm just using a high to low level converter, so I know if my subs aren't peaking, that my door speakers are fine as well. So this is working absolutely perfect. I now can reach the low 20s in this car, which is something I just thought was a box issue, but now I know it's a head unit issue. So if we go into this, and we go into our apps, as well as that, sorry, here it is here. Here is our graphic EQ. So this is what I have set for the car. I just have a slight treble boost and a nice little cut there around the 60 Hertz, which is where the box likes to peak in this car. So that's that. As well as that, I've got the Australian weather forecast, so I can check the local weather. I have my YouTube Studio, and YouTube Music, because I have YouTube Music. My SoundCloud, just in case for whatever reason I decided to listen to a song on SoundCloud. There is a loud truck going past my house. TikTok, Instagram, Gmail, Messenger, Facebook, all apps I'm never going to use, but they're there, so how sick is that? As well as that, Google Maps, that is awesome, as well as my car information. So I can tell you that my car has driven 59,000 kilometers. It's 17 degrees Celsius outside. I'm not driving anywhere, and my RPMs are 0 because the engine is off. I have 12 liters of fuel. I don't know why it says oil, but I have 12 liters of fuel left in the tank. My handbrake is on. My seatbelt is undone. I have washer fluid, my boot is closed, and my battery voltage is rather low there at 12 volts. So, there we have it. The overall fit and finish of this head unit is pretty damn awesome. The way this thing works is incredible. I'm logged into my private Instagram, so I won't log into that. Everything just works as fully intended, and of course the reverse camera I wired in. I will explain on that in a second. If I go into reverse, you'll hear it beep. Sensors come on, reverse camera, that's my driveway. Go out of reverse, back into park, and then it goes straight back. Parking sensors stay on, turn them off, disappears from the screen. We're back into Jack's Best Tunes, and we can play whatever song it is we like. So I'm very happy with how this turned out. The video is sick. I do believe that stops going when you drive, or at least I haven't been able to maintain it when it's driving. No, I don't have check engine lights on. That just happens when the engine's not running. And yeah, overall super happy. So I'll just quickly show you the reverse camera and how that's set up. I ended up opting for not using the epoxy to glue it on, but rather just using the screw holes in the back of the camera and the number plate screws to hold that bit of galvanized steel in place. So let's show you that now. Actually, what I will say is I was able to run the wire down through here and into the footwell. If I open the door, I'll get my footwell light to come on. And it comes down just about here, goes up and under where the cabin air filter is, and then it drops down. So the wire runs down here, it goes underneath all of this paneling across the back there, and then it drops down as well, comes up behind the seat there, and then it goes back into the boot. So of course, for a reverse camera, you need signal to know when it goes into reverse, as well as a signal from the camera. Ignore my thongs on my feet, or flip-flops, depending on where you're from, because, well, in Australia we call sandals, flip-flops, whatever, we call them thongs. So regardless, here we go. I'll show you the reverse camera setup now. Alright, so here you can see the reverse camera and the LED number plate lights. And you can see I'm just running that wire through the number plate light there, and that comes up into the boot where you can see my subs. And this plastic trim here, ignore how dirty my car is, it's been daily driven for the last week. And this piece of trim right here is removable, literally just pull up on it, and behind it is a rubber grommet about here. I just put a little slit in that and ran the wires through, and they come under in here through the spare wheel well. Then we come into where our battery is. Our signal from the camera comes in from behind the seat and runs down here, and then it all meets down here. Now I know this is a little bit rough just for now, but if we look into here, these two wires here, one is for the reverse camera and one is for the line to the head unit, and this one's the higher level for the sub, and they just have a tap onto the reverse light which wires up there. Now I've really got to neaten all of this up, and I will plan to do that soon. But for now, that works 100%. And when the reverse light is on up here, well, we have our reverse camera on inside of the car. So everything works fully as intended and has worked out perfectly. My subs now dig way deeper in the boot as well and play way lower frequencies, although I probably will be replacing these fairly soon. Of course, there'll be a video on the channel coming of that. But nonetheless, there we have it. There's the R36 head unit install inside of the car. and it sounds absolutely incredible now, and I'm very, very happy with it. So there you go. I hope you've enjoyed this video. There'll be more of this car coming soon when I replace the head unit. Ignore my off-brand, off-white lanyard, and with that being said, I'll see you guys in the next video. I hope you enjoyed this one, and I will see you in the next video.